everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to talk about The Flash yet again and do some box office reporting on its second weekend of release, covering the period the 23rd Friday of June 2023 to Sunday the 25th of June 2023. Now there could be spoilers for the movie throughout this video, so just beware, and you can check out both my non-spoiler and spoiler reviews of the film, and I'll leave some links within the description. So then we'll get straight into the numbers then, and oh boy, where do we start? The movie in US cinemas had a massive 72% drop, grossing around 15.5 million in its second weekend of release, dropping down to number 3 behind Pixar's Elemental, which held on to number 2, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which regained the number 1 spot within its third weekend of release with around 19.4 million. Internationally, The Flash has added over 50 million to gross a total of around 123. Globally, the movie now has reached the figure of 210 million worldwide. So what does this mean when it's all said and done? Well, to be honest, the numbers told us what I and many others have established last week, that this movie is an absolute flop without question. And I exhausted all of the reasons why last week, so I don't need to repeat them again, but you can check out last week's video on the opening weekend, and again, I'll add that to the description as well. And the news this weekend just compounds the overall underperformance. Now normally these big event films drop around 55 to 65% in their second weekend, so for The Flash to drop around 72% is just so embarrassing for Warner Brothers when you consider all of the massive push behind the project in terms of its budget, its marketing, and of course ignoring all of the controversy surrounding Ezra Miller and still proceeding ahead to put it out in theatres. It does put the decision that they dropped Batgirl completely out of fear of losing money into stark contrast and perspective when you consider that they will indeed lose even more money from the underperformance of this movie. Now in hierarchy of biggest weekend drops, The Flash joins the notorious likes of Morbius and Shazam Fury of the Gods, which also experienced huge amount of drops within its second weekend. And we really have to ask the question now, will The Flash manage to get to 100 million domestic within the US? It seems even horrifying to question that notion, but here it is. Now, I will say it will probably just about make it, so it's sitting at 87 million now. Maybe it will crawl its way to 110 million. And let's be true, this is nothing to scream about, but we're just looking at the overall trajectory here. Of course, it will lose even more screens where we have Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny opening this weekend. So I would say it will probably end up with around 110 million, most optimistically 120 million within US cinemas. Now in terms of its overall tally, it's currently sitting at 200 million now, so it's still going to be a big struggle to get to 400 million, and last week many had already deemed it not possible to reach the 391 million reached by Black Adam last year in October. And I'm going to push back a little bit on the running narrative, saying that just because The Flash will likely make less money than Black Adam, that Warner Brothers and DC should have stayed with Dwayne Johnson's shift in the hierarchy of the DC universe, and that argument just isn't valid. Black Adam was still a huge flop regardless, and Flash's failures do nothing to validate it in terms of a continuation of the DC universe. And when we talk about continuation of the DC universe, any lingering hopes of any sequel or Ezra Miller possibly retaining his role as the Flash in this capacity or any other multiversal diversion, I think now can be put to rest. To be honest, I think he wasn't going to continue anyway, given his previous transgressions and accusations. CEO David Zaslav clearly wanted to force this movie through and try and make as much money as possible before moving ahead with the James Gunn era. And I think also any future appearances of Sasha Calle's Supergirl can also be put to rest, as we already know, James Gunn is planning to move forward with the Women of Tomorrow adaptation involving Supergirl, and will likely see a much more classic traditional look in terms of the character. And I really don't think that they'll make Sasha Calle a different variant in terms of Supergirl, because what's the point at this stage? And as I've mentioned several times in several videos, James Gunn really should be wanting to distance himself completely from any remnants of the Snyderverse before setting his own mark in terms of his new era. I would also say that I think James Gunn would be advised to not get involved in any of the toxic discourse online or make any future big announcements. So for example, we've had the Blue Beetle director come out and say that the Blue Beetle movie is the first character within the new James Gunn era. Now, you don't really need statements like that, because if Blue Beetle comes out and is another failure, then that impacts James Gunn's era already before it's already got started, because the discussions will be had. If he can't even make Blue Beetle work, then how the hell is he going to handle Superman? So every time they make any future announcement or endorsement, whether it was to include Andy Muschietti as the new director of Batman the Brave and the Bold, each time they do that, people are going to look at The Flash and have far less enthusiasm. And all of this underperformance and failure will just heap even more pressure on Superman Legacy when it comes out. A film really that they should look to be much more of a moderate success, rather than generate any hope for it to be a big massive billion-dollar blockbuster, because this is where all of the problems started to begin with Man of Steel going back in 2013, where for some reason Warner Brothers had aspirations of that reaching $1 billion. Then when it didn't, they rushed forward with Batman vs Superman, and then we know what happened after that. So really, that's what I think James Gunn should be doing going forward. But with the DCEU, we've had so many discussions about it, but without question, if it wasn't done already, the failure of The Flash compounds the statement that the DCEU is done without any question whatsoever. The best thing now is to just let the other movies play out. So of course, we have Blue Beetle coming out shortly, and then we have the last entry, which will be Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Both of those I can't really see being a massive success. Blue Beetle may have some sort of success, only because it's a lesser property and it's a smaller budget, so there won't be as much pressure or expectation surrounding Blue Beetle as what there will be with Aquaman. So just let these movies come out, let them underperform, and then we can finally close the book on the Snyderverse. There should then be a period of quiet and calm before then James Gunn can come out full throttle with Superman Legacy. So there's my overall thoughts and feelings on the second very much disastrous box office weekend for The Flash. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Where do you think this now leaves DC going forward? Do you think it should matter? Or do you think it will be a further stain on James Gunn as he prepares to usher in his new era? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if there are any further headlines or breaking news topics surrounding The Flash, then I will of course provide commentary. So look out for that content in the future. And as usual, if you have any other further suggestions regarding any other television movies, series, or any other topics that you'd like to see me cover within the pop culture and entertainment scene, then also let me know in the comments, and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on those topics within the future. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.